Us right down to earth with a thump. It's from Diana Minglis.
Hi. The term un-Australian is bandied out a lot lately, but I think we've lost sight of the fact that the word Australian used to represent a fair go for all. As we're making it increasingly difficult for the youth of Australia to access social security and have access to a public safety net, won't the Productivity Commission's recommendations of getting rid of penalty rates on Sunday make it increasingly hard for young people and students to eke out a living?
Josh Frydenberg.
Well, firstly, what is the problem the Productivity Commission is trying to solve with its interim report on industrial relations? Essentially, it's job creation and unemployment. So in Australia...
and political inertia.
Well, arguably, there hasn't been enough movement in this area. So unemployment in Australia is just over 6%, but youth unemployment is closer to 14%. Now, in areas where youth unemployment is particularly high, places like Cairns, parts of Tasmania, parts of Adelaide, hospitality, retail, tourism are predominant sectors. Now, what the Productivity Commission has said is when it comes to Sunday penalty rates, they are being prohibitive, about at 200% sometimes of the base wage. And the feedback from businesses is that they're not opening because of those prohibitive costs. So the issue that they've raised is maybe in some certain sectors that the Sunday penalty rates be at the Saturday level, and that would be a reduced cost to business who could employ more people and stay open. I think this is a genuine debate to have. The former head of the ACTU and a Labor Minister, Martin Ferguson, has called for reform in this area, modernising our penalty rate system. Also, Brendan O'Connor, the Labor Party spokesman, has said he's open to this area as well. So we've now got a report. Let's have a broad discussion about it, but let's not run scare campaigns before actually reports have been released publicly. Let's have a debate, because at the end of the day, the purpose behind reform to industrial relations, particularly in this area of penalty rates and the way the Fair Work Commission operates, it's not about ideology, it's actually about job creation.
Josh, you mentioned some areas are not covered by this, and indeed the Productivity Commission has decided to excise from the penalty rate changes emergency workers, which includes policemen and nurses, firemen, we imagine. So that was probably a smart political move, but the unions are calling it economic apartheid. So your response to that, and then I'll hear from Sharon Bird.
Well, the unions had their campaign against this report before they'd even seen it. And Tim Lyons, who's a former Assistant Secretary of the ACTU, said it was wrong for the unions to run a rerun of the Work Choices campaign, not based on the facts. So this is, head leaders of the union movement criticising their own union brothers for coming out and critiquing a report that they hadn't seen. Now, of course, there are differences between the workers in the hospitality and retail and tourism sectors and those who are working in emergency services. We've got a particular problem that a lot of cafes, restaurants are closing because of the high prohibitive costs on a Sunday. We've got a more dynamic economy. Trading hours have changed than where they were in the 60s. Arguably, we're less religious as a society, so Sunday has less significance in that respect, at least, than it used to. People are looking to shop 24/7, and restaurants need to be open. So I think this is a fair income debate to be had, but we've got to on about here, which is about jobs. And the point about this report, it's 1,000 pages in length. There's been 200 submissions, including 20 from the unions themselves. It's been produced by the Productivity Commission, the same group that produced the recommendation to create the NDIS. They're independent experts without a partisan axe to grind, and I think we should give them a fair hearing.
Okay, actually, I'll bring in Sharon after. We've got another question that'll bring